I saw so much talent go through those doors of that company.
Was it just a poor culture?
Yeah, that's really the way to sum it up. But it was just a lesson to me in how expensive turnover can be, because it's a hidden cost to a business when you have tribal knowledge walking out the door, and you don't see that, not on the surface anyway.
Welcome to the Machine Shop Mastery Podcast, where we uncover the stories behind successful machine shops and their owners. By interviewing current and former shop owners, we dig deep to unveil their secrets of success and the struggles and challenges they've overcome on their paths to building thriving shops. We aim to elevate how important the machining industry is and inspire others by highlighting why owning a shop can be a great vehicle to creating jobs, stimulating the economy, and creating wealth. Here's our host, former machine shop owner himself, Paul Van Meter.
Hello, my friends, and welcome to another episode of Machine Shop Mastery. I got to sit down with Gary from Spectrum Machine and Design today. What a remarkable guy. This gentleman had a strong background in machining and precision manufacturing, toolmaking, decided to start his shop in, many years ago. He started the shop in 99, but worked two jobs for several years prior just to earn the money to be able to do that. And started in the proverbial garage with one little machine, just a little NC mill. But today has about 37 people on the team and does parts that are up to $1 million a piece, if you can believe that. He showed me some pictures at the event where I met him that I just could not believe. So complex, so much risk. But what really stands out for me is the dedication that Gary has to his people. He shared that he took out $1 million loan to cover their payroll through COVID, right? Most people wouldn't do that, but he has the heart and the commitment to those folks, and maybe the foresight as well to realize that, after things picked up again, he'd have a team that was, very dedicated to him and to the company, and they're in a great spot now. But boy, what a risk to take. And I just really admire his commitment to his team and commitment to, building his business in a really enduring way, but taking a lot of risk, as machine shop owners often do. So it's a really great conversation. Enjoy it, and let's get into it with Gary. Gary, welcome to the Machine Shop Mastery Podcast. Good to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Well, I love helping tell the story, be a conduit to let people tell their story. And when I met you a few weeks back at the EBITDA Growth Systems event, I just was like, I got to have Gary on the show. So let's start by just telling people about your business today, what you specialize in, and then we'll go back and talk about the history of starting it and all that good stuff.
All right. Well, we're an aerospace manufacturer. Jet engine parts are a big part of this area of Connecticut. Mm-hmm. That's primarily what we focus in, is manufacturing aircraft engine parts. We do 5-axis milling and turning up to 90-inch diameter. Have 9 5-axis mills in the shop. I don't know, I think around 12 turning centers. Mm-hmm. It's we're AS9100. We have a few different NADCAP certifications.
Oh, really?
And yeah.
So you do some special processes?
EDM, sinker and wire, and also controlled machining processes.
Controlled machining processes.
Yes.
Can we dig into that for a second? What does that mean?
Well, hole making. You have to have certain OEM certifications to put in holes in critical parts, or even turning or machining processes. Wow. When you're dealing with critical components like rotating components, they really lock down the process so that variation is reduced or eliminated.
Right. Huh. That is fascinating. I never knew that. I thought it was always about plating and, welding and those types of special processes. I didn't realize that machining was included in that. That's pretty cool.
Yep.
And you make big parts up to 90 inches. That's pretty
Yeah,
sizable.
people ask what our niche is, and that's a really hard thing to verbalize because we just we'll do anything from a 1 inch to a 90-inch object,
Mm-hmm.
anything from blades and vanes to cases, combustors,
Right.
shafts, but pretty much all jet engine parts.
Yeah.
We started as a tool shop, but the business has morphed
Okay.
into many different things over the
All
years.
right. Well, we'll get into that transformation story, but I will maybe share something with the audience that maybe you're not out you a little bit. So when we were at that event, you showed me a picture of some of the parts you make on your phone,
Yeah.
and just for those listening, they were, in my mind, compared to my experience at my own shop, unbelievably complicated and high value. Like 2 or 3 more decimal points more than the value of anything that I ever sold. So you do some incredible work. So just to give people a context of the level of work that your shop can produce, it's mind blowing to me. So yeah, congrats, and very, very, very cool that you've gotten to that level. How many folks do you employ today?
We have 37 of us currently.
Okay, right on. Very good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's. I think that gives people of a little bit of a picture of kind of what your shop looks like today. Let's go back to the very beginning. How did you decide to start a shop? What was your background, and what was the story of starting the business?
Well, personal background is I grew up in Southern California in a small town about halfway between San Diego and LA by the name of Lake Elsinore. Went to work in a family friend's machine shop when I was about 15. They did precision cast iron inspection equipment. So that's what they made. So angle plates, angle irons, V blocks, surface plates.
Yeah.
So basically, I learned how to do precision grinding there. That was the big takeaway. Then I moved back to Connecticut just for a change of pace and went to work in a few different shops there. Did tool making, got into machine repair, maintenance machining, which I don't know if you know what that's like, but if a piece of equipment breaks down, you determine what was the root cause of the failure and maybe design and make a new piece from scratch, and then put the machine back together and put it back online. So it's pretty cool because you can use a lot of your creativity to make things better.
I was going to say, you got to be very good at troubleshooting and being analytical and thinking outside the box. What is up, Metalworking Nation, Making Chips family? It is an even year, which means IMTS is coming. September 14th through 19th at McCormick Place in beautiful Chicago. It is the largest manufacturing trade show in North America, bringing together thousands of manufacturers, OEMs, and solution providers every 2 years to explore how new technologies are being applied to real shop floors. So whether you're planning future capital investments, benchmarking operations, or simply trying to cut through the noise around emerging technologies, IMTS is designed to help manufacturers make better, more informed decisions. Whether you've been going for years or this might be your first time, put it on your calendar right now. Schedule your time away from the shop. It's good to get out and see new things. It's going to be a big party. I hope to see you there. Go to imts.com and register today.
Yeah, and I worked for another company for a while we did NC retrofits. So we would take big jig mills or jig bores, tear them apart, and outfit them with ball screws. And at the time, it was a GE Mark Century 1050 control was the state of the art, using paper tape.
Not to date yourself too much.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
But I did scraping and fitting on the slides. That was what I focused on.
I was just at an Akuma event down in North Carolina.
I saw
last
that.
week, and I tried scraping, and for the very first time. That's not easy.
No, it's not.
It's quite an art, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, especially when you're scraping to a level over a 20-foot rail on a machine, it's quite challenging.
Wow. Okay, so you have a deep background in very precision and complex manufacturing. So that's a good way to start.
Yep. Then I moved back to California. That was in the late 70s, and went to work actually on offshore oil rigs for 7 years. I went to
Were
work
you doing machining? Were you doing machining out on those rigs?
No, I went to work for a company that manufactured drilling equipment. So we basically made everything that goes into a subsea oil well. And then they also manufactured some of the capital equipment that went on the rig itself. So I worked on, these were all floating vessels. So might be like an 800-foot long ship with a drilling derrick sitting in the center of it.
Wild.
And motion compensation is a major component because you're bouncing on the surface of the ocean and you're trying to drill a hole into the earth, which isn't moving. So
wild.
We had these massive hydraulic systems that would support up to 600,000 pounds of weight dynamically.
That's mind blowing.
But
very cool.
So what you learn out there is useful in a shop, and what you learn in the shop is useful out there. So
no kidding.
Yeah.
All right. So the background is getting more varied. What happened between then and when you started the business?
Well, my wife and I got married. We decided to move to Louisiana. I took a job there with the same company, setting up and running a machine and welding shop for the equipment we manufactured to support the Gulf Coast. And so we moved there. I had to do less traveling because with the previous situation, I was traveling a lot, which was great. I was 20 years old, and they sent me all over from Africa to Southeast Asia to Japan, North Sea. Yeah. So
very cool.
It was a good job for a young single guy, but maybe not so much for a married guy.
Yeah, no kidding.
Anyway, we moved down there, lived there for almost 5 years, and then oil went to $15 a barrel, and things got kind of rough, and we were ready for a move. So then we moved back to Connecticut in 1986, and I went to work for a aerospace shop here in Connecticut that made blades and vanes for airfoils for turbine engines. And I worked there for 10 years. And I think I told you a little bit about that in our conversation down in North Carolina. But I went to work there in the maintenance department. And then I worked my way up over the next few years to manufacturing manager. And wound up with like 70 people reporting to me and working 80 to 90 hours a week on salary. And just that's what it took to get the job done, because it was a lot of moving parts, and that's really what it took. So and just got burned out because it became expected
to work 80, 90 hours a week.
Yeah,
that's too much.
And it was just a situation where I got along really good with the general manager of the company, and then over time it didn't maintain that relationship, and I could see what had happened to other people that worked there, and so I decided to really try something on my own.
Okay.
And it's really hard to start a machine shop from scratch with no money. And
yes, it is.
We don't come from money. So I wound up working to raise capital, working 2 full-time jobs for 6 years.
Wow.
To get enough to get started. So
no kidding.
Yeah.
So if you figured if you're going to work 80 to 90 hours a week, you might as be well building equity.
Yeah. So I cut back to 50 hours and went and got a second job.
Okay. And so you built up enough nest egg, and then did you start the business while you like as on the nights and weekends kind of thing while you still had a
Yeah.
paycheck coming in?
Yeah, I had to ease into it. So
Sure.
when you have a mortgage and a family, you got to be careful about the
Of
decisions you
course.
make.
Yeah.
So just tried to ease into it to keep the risk as minimal as possible. But
So do you find
in
a place to rent and buy one machine, or what did that look like?
started in the garage at home,
Okay. The
and
proverbial
then
garage. Yeah.
yep, was there for about 4 years, and then in 2000 rented a space, so just a 1,000 square foot like industrial condo,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just me at that point. And then when things fell apart at the turbine blade and vane shop, I actually got canned
Oh,
after
did
10
you?
years. Yeah. Um,
So that business kind of going downhill
no,
for some
there was
reason?
nothing wrong with the business. It was just
Okay.
the management. And
Okay.
I could see a couple years before that happened, I could see the writing on the wall, just how things were
Mm,
going.
right.
And it was a good lesson. Sometimes things, you learn how to do the right thing and how to do what not to do. And
Mm-hmm.
that place was kind of a lesson as to how costly turnover is,
Mm,
because I saw so much talent go through those doors of
right.
that company. And
Was it just a poor culture?
yeah, that's really the way to sum it up.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it was just a lesson to me in how expensive turnover can be,
Yeah. Sure.
because it's a hidden cost, to a business when you have tribal knowledge walking out the door, and you don't see that,
Mm-hmm.
not on the surface anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a big issue many shops are dealing with right now, just with all the baby boomers retiring. But
Yeah,
it obviously happens in shops that have high turnover, at any point,
yeah,
if you're not building a place where people want to stay.
right. But when I was in the next day after I got let go, I came in to clean out my office, and a tool maker that worked there, he was one of their best tool and gauge makers. He came up and said, "Hey, if you ever start your own shop sometime, give me a holler." I don't know why he said that, because I was pretty. Uh, I didn't advertise what I was doing, but anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So then, 5 years later, which would have been right about 2000, 2001, I gave him a call because I really needed some help. So
Mm-hmm.
he left. He had worked there 30 years,
Wow.
and he left, came to work with me. So he was our first employee, and he was with us for 15 years.
Okay. Very
Yep.
cool. Did he
Yep.
retired out of your shop?
He did. Yep.
Nice. Very cool.
And then a couple of other of our longtime people joined in 2003, and they're still here 23 years later. So,
Very cool.
yep.
All right. What was your first machine?
Probably Prototrack mill. The first new
Okay.
machine we bought was actually a wire machine, which sounds kind
Really?
of crazy,
That is
but we
interesting.
were a tool shop. Having a wire machine was like awesome,
Sure. Yeah.
you know, run all weekend by itself.
Right.
And as a tool shop, it was a very useful piece of equipment.
So what kind of tools did you specialize in making?
We did all your work holding fixtures. We actually did wound up doing work for the shop where I had gotten let go from.
Mm-hmm.
I actually got my first job from there because it was kind of funny. The engineering manager called me before I had really started the shop and was asking me if I knew where he could get a fixture made. And I said, "Well, actually,
Right.
I'd be interested in that." So he gave me my very first job, and he had two
That's cool.
fixtures he wanted built for $3,500.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought I died and gone to heaven. I had a paying job.
That's yeah. I remember I remember the first time we had a $5,000 job in our shop, and we thought we had hit the lottery. It was so much money.
Exactly. Yeah,
It was
exactly.
huge.
Yeah,
And then if many years later, it's not even, a
yeah,
rounding error,
yeah,
So
right.
that's very cool.
What was really funny is when I got paid for it, because he just issued the job internally under the name Spectrum Machine and
Mm-hmm.
Design, and so I got a paycheck from the guy who let me go, um, signed by him, which I thought was pretty funny. But anyway,
I love it.
and
I love
then
that you're smiling as you tell all this
yeah,
story.
well, even and then that guy, the general manager, got let go. Like fast forward 15 years later, he got let go, and actually came very close to coming to work for me,
Oh my goodness.
uh, doing sales, but it didn't work out because he wound up going to help his son and do something different. But we got along fine after that.
That would have been a full circle moment. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. So
yeah,
you started with the prototrack, had the wire, hired a couple of guys in the first couple of years.
yep. We had a couple of prototrack mills, an engine lathe, surface grinders. Then we bought a brand new. We had a couple of small Cincinnati Arrows. They were a pretty small machine with a 20-inch working cube.
Mm-hmm.
Those machines did a lot of work, and
Mm-hmm.
bought them used. And then we bought a brand new Matsura machining center in 2006. So that was our first actual new piece of equipment.
Right. Yeah, I see on your website today you have a bunch of Matsuras.
Yeah, we don't have any now.
Oh, really? You need some
Our
new photos
our
on your
website is
website?
way out of date, and it's actually going to
Okay.
be redone here next month. We should be rolling it
Okay.
out. So yeah,
Oh, nice.
our website does not represent the shop at all.
Okay. So, for those early days to find business beyond getting it from your old shop, you just sort of working your network, just letting people know you started, or how did you find business early on?
Yeah, tool making was kind of an easy segue into work or getting work because
Mm-hmm.
people are always looking for that.
Yep.
Getting good tool makers is kind of a hard thing for most businesses to support.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I first rented space, it was next to a couple of electrical engineers that I had worked with previously on a couple projects, and they did machine controls, not CNC, but other types of controls. And
Mm-hmm.
so we started working together doing custom machinery, custom like automation projects and things like that. So I would do the design and build of all the mechanical portion
Oh,
of it, and
nice.
then they would do the controls. So we built quite a few machines, different types, testing machines, automated assembly, things like that.
That's convenient to have customers right next door.
Yeah, well, and then all their customers became my customers. So
Got it.
there was quite a bit of work that spun off of that.
Okay, cool. So you, of course, at some point shifted from tool making and tools into aerospace production parts. Can you just share some of that journey?
Yeah, we would do various little special projects that came up, and then we found an in to one of the major OEMs for aircraft engines and looking for development work, which is quite often a segue into
Mm-hmm.
those areas, and did some really high value development parts. It was about $1.6 million worth of work we got from them, spread over 4 parts, and
Wow.
the one of them was the picture I showed you of one of them, but
Okay.
they were somewhere between $200,000 and $450,000 a piece.
How did you get the guts to quote parts that valuable to starting with material that expensive and hopefully you don't make a mistake and scrap it?
Yeah. Well,
I guess that background you had of doing really high precision, complex work, I guess.
yeah, we've got a good reputation for doing complex stuff and good quality and so forth. So I like challenging work.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we kind of gravitate towards.
Right. Okay. So was that a sort of a natural progression over the course of several years, just taking on more of that type of work and becoming
Yes.
known for it?
Yep. Yep. And it's it's kind of I know marketing is a topic that a lot of people struggle with, or
Mm-hmm.
and in that era or area rather, your marketing is really word of mouth within the organization, because if you develop a good relationship with successful parts, and um, your say do is very important.
The say-do ratio.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's huge. So if you don't overpromise and underdeliver, that goes a long ways. Obviously, your quality and everything else has to be in order, but it's a slow process. Big companies move slow, but
Mm-hmm.
you can build that business, and that's where we're at right now, is continuing to develop the relationships and prove ourselves. Because you're only as
Mm.
good as the last thing you did, pretty much.
Yeah. No, it's a long, you're playing the long game, right?
Yeah,
You're
yep,
building those long-term relationships, coming through time and time again.
yep.
Very interesting. So at what point did you go get your AS 9100 certification and just really like kind of lean into that side of it?
Yeah, I think we got AS 9100 in maybe 2015. Not sure.
Okay. Yep. 10 years ago. Mm-hmm.
Yep. So we got that, and then maybe 3 years ago we got NADCAP for EDM, and then we're also compliant for AS 13100, which I don't know if you're
Oh
familiar with
yeah.
that, but
A
that's
little bit.
AS 9100 on steroids.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
There's no certification for that yet. That's probably coming, but
Okay.
you can be evaluated on compliance. So
Mm-hmm. So I'd love to, and I imagine as you know, over these years, you just keep hiring more people and just kind of growing the team. I know 2002 was really hard for my shop, being a new shop in aerospace and having 9/11 happen, and then 2008 was also hard. Can you share what happened during those periods and how you made it through?
yeah, we had 9/11 was kind of unsettling for us, but we were just a two-man shop at that point,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't remember any real significant issues there. But 2008 was pretty bad. We had one customer that was an aerospace OEM, with one facility that we supported on consumable tooling,
Mm-hmm.
and that was all extrusion dies, forging dies.
Mm-hmm.
It was consumable tooling, but it was production work, because it was 50 of that, 100 of this, and
Yeah.
it was repeat stuff. So we had probably 60 part numbers we produced for them,
Okay.
and like I said, they were probably 60% of our business, and we were on the phone with them daily, regularly. And then
Mm-hmm.
when 2008 rolled around, we didn't hear from them for like 7 months. Not one phone call, nothing. Just
Oh wow. So did you lose about 60% of your revenue in that period?
yeah, we basically. I mean, we had some work from other customers, but we basically kept the shop going on zero interest credit cards, to keep it.
So was that the period you had? One of the things that really stood out in our conversation was taking out a big loan to cover payroll, but that was COVID, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
when in 2019, if you were an airline and you went to order a new plane, you would wait 10 years to take delivery on that aircraft. That's how much backlog there was.
Mm-hmm.
And for every one of those aircraft, there's at least two engines. And
Mm-hmm.
so I mean, this wasn't projections; these were actual firm orders that were
Right.
There's thousands and thousands of engines on order. And
Yeah.
2019, the biggest question on everybody's mind is, where is all this stuff going to get made?
Right.
And then the 737 MAX got grounded in November of 2019. And that was about a 20% hit for us with the work that we had in the shop. And then we rolled into 2020 and COVID, became a real thing.
Yeah.
And we didn't have much in the way of military work. If you had military work, you would have hardly even noticed that COVID was a thing, as far as your workload. But
Right.
we were largely commercial with the work that we had at the time. And
Okay.
by February, March, we had no work in 75% of the shop for about 5 months. And
Wow.
so we have an FFL, so we can manufacture weapons through 50 caliber, but it's not I don't know if you're familiar with the gun business much, but it's a very tough business to.
Heard that. Yeah.
It's kind of a lot like automotive, only maybe more volatile.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was a major firearms manufacturer just up the road from us that was looking for help. So we took on making 50,000 slides for this new pistol that they had
Wow.
out of solid bar. And they're challenging. I think because they had run the parts in-house, so their cycle time on them was 30 minutes. And quite often, if we take on a job from a customer, we wind up cutting the cycle time in half,
Okay.
just due to processing things more efficiently.
Yeah. Sure.
And we struggled to meet their 30-minute cycle time.
You didn't do super high volume stuff typically, right?
No, that was probably the highest volume job that we'd
Okay.
had. And
Yeah. What made this unique that you couldn't match their 30-minute time?
just because they had run millions of these parts and they had leaned it out, quite well. We wound
Right.
up beating it after a few months. We got it down to like 25 minutes, but it was challenging to do, and you're not making a lot of money on those parts.
Right.
And gun parts are a commodity, so.
Right.
Whether something's $42 or $43 makes all the difference, in the end, whether you get the work or not.
Right.
So we took that on. It was work. I didn't want to dedicate too much of the shop to gun parts so that we didn't have the capacity to do aerospace work when and if it came back. But we dedicated 6 machining centers to those parts, and they wanted 12,000 slides a month, and I committed to making 4, and that's what we wound up delivering and doing through. I think we stopped in December of 21. So
December of 21. Okay.
yeah, but we borrowed $1 million, basically between a mortgage on the building and recapitalizing some equipment to be able to keep everybody paid for 40 hours, and we didn't lay anybody off.
Hey, Mike, how often does an outside service provider keep you up at night?
Every day. I mean, the team's looking for updates on that. Every day we have a job that we need to know on.
How often is it heat treating?
I mean, large majority.
Yeah. Imagine if you could go log into your supplier's website, visit a client portal, and see exactly the status of your job.
Well, that would be very helpful because, typically when we're looking, it's because our customer's looking. And I don't like having to say, we'll call you back. I like to be able to just look and tell them.
Yeah.
And when it's not in my shop, I can't do that right now.
I think honesty and transparency is something that most manufacturing leaders want to deliver to their customers. But what I love about Phoenix Heat Treat is they literally created this client portal. It's the most transparent, the most honest you can be. It says exactly where the job is, and it makes it super easy for guys like you to tell their customers what to expect.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I wish all of our outside processors had that. Nick, how do we get a hold of them?
So you go to phoenix-heat-treating.com. That's phoenix-heat-treating.com. They're serving customers all over the country.
Yeah, when you told me that story, I could hardly believe, it's an incredible testament to your just grit and determination and belief in your team and not wanting to, lay anybody off. And um, like what an amazing risk to take on personally for
Well, you didn't know
for
if
the
it was the
sake of your
stupidest
team.
thing you've ever done or the right thing, but
But I don't think a lot of people would have done it. So I applaud you for doing that.
yeah,
And even going back, we kind of glossed over it. 2008, taking out a bunch of zero interest rate credit cards just to cover things. I'm sure
yeah,
that's your name on those cards.
yeah. No, that's true. But we've got a really good group of people here. Our average shop age is 33, which is
That's remarkable.
yeah, and just to lay people off is really just the last resort. And a lot of our customers cut deep, and
Mm-hmm.
some of the OEMs cut, thousands and thousands of people, and they're paying for it now because you
Right.
don't just flip a switch and turn that back on.
No. Yeah.
So
No, I mean, yeah, it's a big risk, but good foresight to realize that if you can get through the low point, you'll be way better off with a
yeah,
bunch of really loyal guys, hopefully, that really know that you went to bat for them. So
yeah, we've got a really good group of folks.
yeah, let's talk a little bit about workforce development, recruiting, retention. How did you get a crew that young? What did you learn from your old shop? Maybe specific things that you didn't do to make a great culture and have all these, young people want to come work for you and stay?
Well, we have a relationship with a technical high school, and that was some of it. And good people running packs,
Yeah.
and so do morons, but but no, I mean, how many people do you know that are really squared away and their friend's an idiot? It's just, and
Right.
it's
Yeah.
that attracted quite a few people in and of itself because someone finds out that their friend really likes where they work, and there's probably been 50% of the employees have come to us from that direction.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been really successful with people with no experience whatsoever.
Yeah. How many of your shop would you say came from no experience?
Out of the 37, maybe 12.
Wow.
Yeah.
And in what roles are they today? Those
Um, top people.
really
Yeah.
setup, programming, all that
Yeah.
stuff.
Yep. Yep.
Incredible. How do you train them so well that they become that proficient?
Work ethic and attitude are number one. That's what I look for. And
Okay.
obviously, you got to have the right aptitude. You got to have mechanical aptitude. But
Yep.
some of them, we liken them to a sponge because you just show them something once and they get it and they build on that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just amazing how well some of them have done.
And are some of those out of that high school program that you're associated with?
Yep, a few of our top people are out of that high school. Yes.
So tell us about that and what that relationship is like. What do you do for that school?
Well, the way it works is that's a 4-year program. They graduate up to 16 students a year. So they can
Okay.
have 64 students in the program. The school is probably as well equipped as most professional machine shops.
Amazing.
Yeah, really done well. And part of it is the environment that these kids are raised in this area of the country,
Mm-hmm.
because they're mostly Eastern European, and they are raised with good work ethics and motivation to do well. And
Cool.
yeah, but our first they call them co-op students, but essentially it's an internship. And the way it works is in their junior year, they interview with prospective businesses in the area, and there's a mutual agreement that that's where they're going to finish their senior year, and they do a week in the shop and a week at school that whole senior year.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. And
Gosh.
if a person applies themselves, they will come out of that school with some serious skills, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How do we replicate that in every city around the country?
I don't
That's
know, but you need
incredible.
to. You need to.
Yeah, no kidding.
Part of it is the demographic of people, though, too. You know, it's
Mm-hmm.
you got to have people that are serious about their craft,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's diminished a bit just with society in general. I don't know.
Yeah, of course. But there's still a lot of really interested, smart young people that think manufacturing is fascinating and
No,
love
that's
it.
very true. Yeah.
I mean, I've interviewed a few startup shops with people in their 20s that basically bought a machine sight unseen after watching a bunch of YouTube videos and decided they wanted to go for it. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah.
So, it is the leader of that school, that shop business, or whatever that program is it just like a really dedicated, inspired leader for that program? Or, I mean, obviously with this being well equipped as you just described, it must have a great connection with grants or the state and funding and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, they've been able to do some pretty serious funding of the school. I mean, that's evident in the equipment that they have in there.
Yeah.
But there is a commitment at the admin level to, do what they're doing.
Right. Okay. I might need to get the name of that. And on making chips, I'm really wanting to do a whole series on workforce development, schools, high school or tech schools, apprenticeship programs, and just sort of distill out, and highlight these pockets that are doing it really excellently, and see if we can't, share that with the metalworking nation. So I might pick your brain on that.
Okay.
Well, very cool. And so you get some of these young folks, you're training them, but they don't just tell their peers and their friends that, hey, this is a great place to work, without it actually being a great place to work. So what's your secret there?
I'm a big believer in shop culture, because we've probably, all of us, your audience as well, have all worked places where there's people that are toxic or just make it miserable to be around. And I've seen that, and I've seen how I knew how it affected me, just working with somebody who's constantly down on everything around them. And I really try to, and when we interview people, it'll be usually four of us that'll sit down with that person, not to gang up on them, but it's good as an interview process, because we all have different opinions or different takes on how they responded to a question or what their experience was or whatever. Right. But it's a good interviewing process, I think, and we look for people that are a good fit for this company.
Mm-hmm.
Like I say, work ethic and attitude are number one. Skills can be taught. You got to have the right aptitude, but if you have, you can't teach the other. It's either in you or it's not.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's a good takeaway for sure. Do you have established core values or mission vision statement, or just focus on just being good people?
Yeah, that's the latter. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, obviously you've had success with it, so that's fantastic. What are some of the most important metrics that you track to make sure things are going well, at the top level of the business and down on the shop floor?
Well, we track on-time delivery, our internal scrap rate, bookings, things like that. One thing that we don't have as good a handle on as we should is our costs, and we are in the process of rolling out ProShop right now. It's combined with, we're putting touchscreen terminals on every machining center.
Touchscreen, cool.
Yeah. So they're 24-inch terminals, and the operation sheet will be there. The operator will punch into ProShop. That'll be their whole documentation process.
Okay. Time tracking and all that.
Yeah. It makes revision control on the op sheets easier to manage because you don't have paper copies floating around. There's one truth.
Yeah. And
that'll be the DNC system for the programs in and out as well.
Oh, nice.
So everything will be done through that terminal. So
very cool.
Once we get ProShop up and going and start really focusing on the quality of the data, I think we'll have a much better understanding of what our costs are. So,
Are you happy with your level of profitability and growth?
Yes and no. We're kind of top heavy, I would say, as far as the engineering side of things, but with indirect people, let's say in general, but you have to have that for the kind of work that we do and where we want to go.
I was just going to say, yeah.
You can't really go the other way around. You can't go out and get rotating parts or, complex stuff and then try to put the staff in place, because it's just, you're probably going to fail. Yeah. And, once you fail at that, it's probably that door is never going to open to you again.
Yeah, the stakes are too high to throw caution to the wind and just wing it.
Yeah, and the engineering and programming were pretty wonky, I guess you could say. One of the OEMs that we deal with picked us for their model-based definition rollout to be a guinea pig. And we use NX for programming. Also, Vericut is a staple.
Sure.
For all the parts that we do. We try to keep risk to an absolute minimum, but you can still have an error at the machine or what have you. But just try to minimize the risk, because some of the parts are high value. We don't want mistakes on anything, really, no matter what the value is.
Yeah. Can you share some more detail about like the picture of the part you showed me and how much like the programmer, I think you said these like two programmers for like a year or something like that?
Yeah.
I forget the exact details, but
one of the parts I think I showed you, we had several programmers working on it for the better part of a year.
Gosh, that's so wild.
There was that one part I showed you, there was 1,600 hours of machine time in that part.
Yeah. And what did the chunk of raw material cost?
The other part, that part, the 1,600 hours of material was supplied by the customer, but the other
bless
part,
them.
Yeah, but the material for that was probably a couple $100,000, because just the machining was $1 million.
Gosh, it blows. We did an episode on making chips several months ago about micro and macro machining.
Yeah,
parts that are, microscopically small and parts that are like the size of a school bus.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll do an episode where the parts are like sub $1 and then $1 million a piece, like the extremes are so wild to me.
Yeah. But you don't, the complex parts like that, you don't want a shop full of them, because they will literally paralyze you. Yeah. Because you need so much engineering bandwidth to be able to process the part. The process is, a large part of it, in addition to the programming, but knowing how you're going to approach that part and not paint yourself into a corner, because you can literally do that. You can get to a point where you went to finish too soon and you're basically stuck. You throw it away and start over.
Do you have any anecdotes, any stories, good or bad, about just war stories of making parts like this?
Not really.
Okay.
I mean,
You'd have to shoot us all if you told us.
Yeah. No, we've never turned down a job for complexity, and we've never really blown it on anything where you got into something that just, I don't know, never really. I mean, all those parts that we started with the OEM, the $1.6 million worth of work, we delivered all those parts. I think we had one deviation, and
Right.
it was a tool mark on a part.
Right. Just a mark. Okay.
Yeah.
Wild. Very interesting. What are some of the biggest challenges you're facing today, Gary?
Just getting our act together for one thing. I mean, we've got the EGS event was helpful, and we checked quite a few of the boxes, but there's other boxes that aren't checked, and getting honing our operational skills would be
right.
really the big thing we need to work on.
Is it just more systematizing things and
Yep.
having it be process based?
Getting more organized, getting lean,
Yeah.
and really having things work efficiently is
right.
I mean, that's an ongoing thing, but
oh, sure, as it should be.
Yep.
Okay. Well, those are good challenges to be having. Those are things that are solvable, and just the fact that you were there at that event and working towards applying best practices and all that is great.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I found it very helpful.
Okay. Maybe just as we think about wrapping up here in the next few minutes, share some of your one or two of your most memorable experiences of owning the shop.
Well, I don't know. That's a hard thing to say. I mean, every day some days are better than others, but just I think probably the biggest thing is seeing people develop and turn into leaders, that come out of their shell or what have you, and just really take hold and do well. That's really cool.
Yeah. I'm glad you said that. Yeah, we've definitely had a few folks that have said that, and I can definitely agree. Seeing someone sort of under your tutelage, under your care, blossom and grow and learn and really come into their own, that's a pretty special feeling.
Yeah, it is.
Very cool. All right, so if there are people listening that aspire to have a shop with the success that yours has had, what would you suggest they focus on?
Quality work. Obviously, quality will cover a multitude of sins, but you got to deliver. You got to, do well. Don't be scared to push your envelope because it's kind of like the pumping septic tanks or having a funeral home. If you do stuff that other people can't do, don't want to do, you have less competition. So when you go after complex stuff, I mean, you got to know your bandwidth. But if you go after complex stuff, I think that is helpful. But you just have to, not get in over your head, but don't be afraid to push the envelope.
Hey, it's Paul from Making Chips. If you've been burned by recruiters who don't understand manufacturing, you are not alone. That's exactly why we created Hire MFG Leaders. We're not just recruiters, we're current and former shop owners, and we know what it takes to lead in this industry. Whether you're hiring your next operations leader, sales manager, or production supervisor, we'll help you find someone who actually fits. Learn more at makingchips.com/hire. Yeah, well, it takes. I don't know if I would have the guts to take on $1 million parts. that is a next level of taking on challenge. So, but that just pushing to do difficult things doesn't necessarily have to mean taking on $1 million parts. It could permeate in many different ways. But I think the sentiment is super valid.
Yeah,
got to push past your comfort zone. That's where growth happens. Opportunities show up.
Working with difficult materials that helps set you apart. When you're, some people shy away from nickel alloys. Just if you tool for it, once you have a process, it's you just got to approach it the right way. That's all. And as long as you know that going into it, it's not that bad.
Very cool. Yeah. And especially lately, I know that it seems like with commercial space and just all, defense being very strong right now and all this, those shops that do focus on really hard materials, there's a lot of them to be made from here on out. So,
Yep.
Seems like a good niche. All right, Gary. So if people want to learn more about Spectrum Machine and Design, where would you direct them to connect with you, learn more about your business?
Well, our webpage is wemachine.com.
I love that webpage. That URL is so cool. wemachine.com.
WEMACHINE.
That's right.
It will hopefully be redone by January, February of 26. And if somebody wants to email me, they can email me at gary@wemachine.com.
Yep. Well, I will tell you this. So I think your episode will beat the website a little bit, since we are moving to weekly, or have moved to weekly. Although end of January, this is when this episode's coming out. End of January. So
okay,
maybe that'll be the incentive to just push your web developers a little harder to hurry up and deliver that thing.
I'll tell Emily.
Okay, you're working with Emily from Marketing Metal?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. She's amazing.
Yeah.
Very good. I love it.
They're actually coming here Wednesday to do the filming, and we're having a shop barbecue. So
nice.
They'll be here for that too.
Give her a hug from me, please.
I will. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Awesome, Gary. Well, thank you so much for being on the show and sharing your remarkable journey. What an amazing shop you're building. Yeah, I just appreciate everything you shared and giving back to the community.
All right. Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate all you do.
Oh, my pleasure, sir. It's a true honor. I
appreciate interacting with you and just seeing all you do for the industry. It's really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it matters to me a lot. So it feels like I couldn't imagine doing anything different. So
yeah. Good.
All right, Gary. Thank you again. Appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you.